I think it's always really healthy to see corrections in a super cycle.
Smart money is buying this dip. In today's video, I'll show you expert opinion on why you should be buying Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and quality crypto coins. Watch today's whole video or forever risk missing out. Before we start the video, let's take a look at the crypto market on the SOSO value site. Well, here we have today's digital currencies, which show that the market is a bit bearish. Maybe it's corrected. Here we have different crypto categories. Only the meme coin category has grown very well. We enter the crypto ETF section, which shows the daily total net inflow of $430 million, the cumulative total net inflow of $60 billion, and the total value traded of $3.2 billion. And finally, the total net assets of $150.7 billion, which is equivalent to 6.60% of the Bitcoin market cap. In the next section, we will show the various fundraising projects of both airdrops, DeFi, and exchanges. Finally, we will look at the DEX pools, where DEX Banana Guy / Sol ranks first, Hype / USDC ranks second, and Weth / USDC ranks third. The Fear and Greed Index is also at 42 and is in a normal state. First of all, let's start here. Breaking news. The ultra-rich finally are investing in crypto. Finally, it has been revealed by Tiger 21 founder Michael Sonnenfeld. Michael Sonnenfeld is an American multimillionaire, probably billionaire, entrepreneur, philanthropist, political activist, and currently he is the founder and chairman of Tiger 21. What is Tiger 21? Tiger 21 is an exclusive global community of ultra-high-end net worth entrepreneurs, investors, and executives, the richest of the rich. And he says this, for the first time, the ultra-wealthy aren't talking about Bitcoin as speculation, but actually as an alternative asset that can be held during tough times. The investment thesis for Bitcoin in 2025 is changing. This is how the ultra-high net worth wealthy people are thinking about it now. Incredibly bullish.
You said Bitcoin. Has it taken some time to I see it every quarter. There's a little more Bitcoin, a little more Bitcoin. I feel like it's finally crossing that hurdle of we got to own it.
Yeah. So Bitcoin as a market is still only a tenth the size of gold, but they both are secure assets in members' mind. For the first time, people aren't talking about Bitcoin just as speculation, but actually an alternative asset that can be held during tough times. Not everybody believes in it, but those that do are making a big splash.
Well, it went from, so Bitcoin was sort of, I've been coming to your meetings for over a decade, and Bitcoin was sort of spoken about in the hushed corners of the hallways 5 or 6 years ago. Now you've got panels on it. People are talking about it. It's gaining more acceptance.
I've been in crypto for 7-8 years now. This is about a 15% dip in total. This used to be par for the course when it came to Bitcoin and crypto volatility. Bitcoin and the way people think about it really is different nowadays. And knowing what we know, how can you not see this as a buying opportunity? The clock is ticking, however, as we have fewer than 100 days left in 2025. The clock is ticking on some massive Bitcoin predictions. I personally think we will get close to these numbers, if not meet these numbers in Q4 or even January of 2026, because I do think this is Ethereum. I do think we're building one hell of a base that we're about to launch off of. But will we hit these numbers? Bitwise 200K by end of year. Standard Chartered 200K. Fan 180K. Matrix, Port 160K, Galaxy Digital 185, Bernstein 200K, Scaramucci 180 to 200K, Peter Brandt 150 to 280K, Arthur Hayes 250,000. Bitcoin sits about 10 to 15% below all-time highs today. Do you think it's going to make it? This is Bitcoin. I do think Bitcoin hits 150,000 before the end of the year. That's my educated guess, because I even think the stock market looks bullish into end of year, and so does Tom Lee. Tom Lee, the macro bull market is not over. It's always really healthy to see corrections in a super cycle. Listen.
Number one, I think it's always really healthy to see corrections in a super cycle, but I do think it's really difficult for someone to actually ring the bell at the top. And in fact,
of course, always.
Like if we look at Palantir or Tesla or Nvidia, I think that there have been, 25 bell ringings at the top at every waypoint along the way. To me, I think the real test is going to be that we see a day where investors are convinced there's absolutely nothing that is wrong with the thesis and it's bulletproof, and yet stocks make announcements and they go down, and companies actually have negative returns. I have not seen that yet. In fact, to me, it's reflexive to see that every time markets flatten out after posting gains, we have a lot of people declaring the top. To me, that's a really healthy sign that there is very little conviction about this bull market, and I do think it's healthy to actually see the skepticism.
BlackRock is predicting that institutional adoption of crypto ETFs. It's still in its early stages, especially for quality altcoins like Ethereum and Solana. And some quality coins don't even have ETFs yet. And yet, the on-chain metrics are going parabolic. Ethereum ecosystem transactions going parabolic. So, Joseph C. over here, who pioneered crypto, coming to BlackRock. Now, he is the co-CEO of Ethereum Treasury Charlink. He used to work for BlackRock. He left BlackRock to start his own Ethereum Treasury company. He's not going to give an exact Ethereum price prediction, but he lays out his bold thesis why he's damn sure that Ethereum will be higher next year and be even higher the year after that.
It'll be much higher next year, and if you hold it for the long term, I think you're getting in at a very good entry price, because financial services is going to be massively disrupted, and it's going to happen on Ethereum.
So why don't you give price predictions?
I think I like to be right more than wrong, and I think no one can understand what's going to happen in the market. But if you take a step back and take a fundamental view that stable coins are going to grow massively, real-world tokenized funds are just in the beginning of the first inning, and institutional access to DeFi is going to happen on decentralized networks. And if that happens on Ethereum, and so far that's where the action is, the price of Ether will go up, which is why investing in a digital asset treasury company now is early stages. You didn't miss the price action yet. I'd rather share a fundamental, very simple valuation framework. The more assets secured on Ethereum, and right now it's securing 65% of stablecoins, over 80% of tokenized assets. The more assets secured on Ethereum, the value of ETH will be more secure. Tom and I share the same thesis. There's a decade-long macro trend of decentralized finance, and it's going to happen on Ethereum. We're both going to get to 5% ownership of ETH. We'll get there at different paces, but we're actually more aligned than people think.
And by the way, many reasons why you would be bullish on Ethereum. You should also be bullish on assets like Solana and quality crypto coins that are getting similar types of adoption to Bitcoin and Ethereum. Solana is going to really benefit too. Kyle Salami runs a Solana treasury strategy and is a part of Multicoin Capital, an original crypto fund.
Solana is most frequently compared to Ethereum because it competes with Ethereum. And if you look at a lot of the drivers for Ethereum, they apply for Solana, the most notable being the Genius Act, which passed earlier this year, SEC Chairman Paul Atkins announced Project Crypto earlier this year as well. And the Clarity Act, which is now in Congress, we're pretty optimistic that's going to pass. All of these are major regulatory tailwinds for Solana.
So, this whole Bitcoin crypto market is going to be a lot higher in the future. So many fundamental things have happened over the last 2 years, and for the next year that will affect the next decade. We're in like the beginning of the day of inning one of nation-state game theory. Trump kind of kicked it off earlier this year. Billionaire investor Dan Moorehead says it's just inevitable. China and Russia will hold trillions of dollars in Bitcoin. Nation-state game theory, it's here.
You got to remember the reserve currencies changed every 80 or 100 years. You know, like it used to be the Portuguese escudo and the British pound. And, you know, so
I think no one's ever really lasted for more than, let's call it 100, 110 years.
Yeah, so, you know, it's not...
We're coming up on our time.
Yeah, exactly. It's not inconceivable that the dollar will be supplanted. I think it'll take a decade or two, you know, so I don't think it's going to happen overnight. But you're starting to see it. The U.S. Having a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Wyoming has a strategic reserve as well. And then you're hearing other countries start to do it. The UAE and other countries in the Gulf are starting to do that. And I think the big one will be countries that are, and those, like the Gulf, they're all pegged to the US dollar. They're all very tightly in line with the United States. But the countries that are antagonistic to the United States, like China or Russia, I think it's inevitable that they'll ultimately put a good chunk of their reserves into Bitcoin. Because if you think about it, China has, I think, $1 trillion of U.S. treasuries. You know, Scott Bessing can just cancel that, right? Like, I mean, it was really pretty crazy to have your entire country's life savings in an asset that your potential adversary could literally just cancel. So I think within a decade, I'm not going to say it's going to happen overnight, countries like that will have started to save in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies.
And the implications of this in the next 4 to 5 years is $750,000 Bitcoin.
When you look at the price of Bitcoin right now, since you started there, what do you think it ultimately lands at? And what do you think the window is right now for it?
Oh, you know, I've been saying this for a long time. It's roughly doubled every year for 12 years that we've been doing this. So I think it keeps doing that for at least a few more years. It's still a very low single-digit percentage of global wealth. So I think it could go up to 750,000 in the next 4 or 5 years.
This video has ended. I would appreciate it if you watched my previous videos. Don't forget to subscribe and like. And be sure to answer this question in the comments. Cryptocurrency is still crashing. Until the next video, goodbye.